Hi there, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be doing a pick a card tarot reading to help you understand your life's direction for 2021. And in this reading, there might be predictions sprinkled in there, but for the main part, my motive for doing this, my intention, is to help you understand the energy that you're working with, to better work harmoniously with the different factors in your life so that you can have and get what you want in this upcoming year and live your best life. I also want to say thank you so much for all of you who watched my previous pick a card tarot reading. That was the first time I attempted at something like that, and the responses were so positively overwhelming. So thank you so much in commenting, sharing your experience and your stories. It was such a pleasure in holding that space for you, and I hope today's reading will be just as beneficial for you. Let's begin. In today's reading, we will once again have 3 piles. The first pile is Angelite. The second pile is Amethyst. And the third pile is Labradorite. Now, I'd like you to take some deep breaths with me. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Breathe in and exhale. Again, deep breath in and let it go. Now, with this awareness, allow your intuition to pick for you which pile that stands out to you. I want you to give me the first answer that your intuition gives you. The first answer will always be correct, so go along with that one. And once you have chosen your pile, let's get into your reading. The timestamps are going to be in the description below. We're going to first begin with Angelite. You got the 7 of Swords, along with a reverse King of Cups. The 7 of Swords is about manipulation and trying to get what you want quickly, in an easier way. Trying to figure out a way to cheat the system. And the reverse King of Cups is about an emotional imbalance and being somewhat irrational, not really on top of his emotions. So what I'm getting with these together is just a sense of feeling rushed or wanting to rush, but there's not a good enough reason to be doing this. And what's causing this sense of rushing, of wanting to get to what you want quicker, is our attachments. And that's quite obvious, right? We all have attachments, and of course they play with our emotions and our thoughts. So the cards that came out after this to better describe what sort of attachments you are holding on to are these 2 cards. You got the Devil and the Five of Pentacles. So with the Devil, this card refers to the inner saboteur, the part of you, the shadow, that sabotages your best efforts. And your shadow is built up of repressed emotions, things you choose to not honor because you deem them as bad, limiting beliefs, past traumas, things you have not fully resolved. So, and this is what's keeping you stuck. Like if you look at the chains, notice how the man and the woman are being chained. They're stuck and they're being controlled by the devil. And so, I'd like you to consider how your shadow keeps you chained. In which ways are you keeping yourself stuck? What is holding you back? And be honest with yourself when you talk about this. What do you deem as bad, as not acceptable? I say not acceptable because of the Five of Pentacles. You see there are two beggars. They're right outside of this church, and it's a cold winter's day. And they could go in, seek asylum, but they choose not to. And there are 5 pentacles on the stained glass window. That's exactly what they need as beggars. They need the pentacles, the coins. But they're choosing to ignore it when it's right next to them. So this is the feeling I'm talking about, of deeming yourself or part of you as not acceptable, of feeling left out, or purposefully choosing to leave out a part of you. What do you deem as unacceptable? And what can you, and how can you give that part of you more compassion to integrate the shadow? You don't have to be this beggar anymore. You don't have to stay out in the cold. You can walk into the church. You can take the 5 pentacles. They're there for you. They're right next to you. And this is the sort of work that you're being asked to do in this moment. Rather than wanting to rush things and cheat the system and get what you want quicker, you're being asked to fully surrender. The Wheel of Fortune is one of the 3 cards that you can get in the Major Arcana, which asks you to completely surrender because the situation is outside of your control. The universe is convening, is putting things together for you in this moment. You have done more than enough, and at this point you're being asked to just surrender and not get in the way. The other elements are working in your favor to give you what you want, and it's just a matter of time. And the wheel is going to turn very soon. So if right now, notice the devil over here. Right now, perhaps you're at the bottom over here with the devil. Very soon, you're going to come right back up. And so this is a card of fortune, of luck as well. The advice with this card, though, is not to wait for the wheel to turn, but rather to find your center right in the middle. Because if you stay in the middle, if you stay centered, regardless of where you go with this wheel, that won't affect you. If you can find your center, no matter where the wheel turns, you'll be okay. So that's the advice with this card. And here's some more reassurance. You have the 10 of Wands, which tells us that you're very close to the finish line. You see he's carrying all this burden. He can barely hold on to all of these wands, but he's almost there. He's almost home, and he sees the end in sight. And that's where you are right now. So just keep at it and trust that you're in the right direction. Work on yourself. Do the inner work as you surrender and wait for what you want to come into fruition. And when it does, it will feel like a new beginning. And you are going to receive some sort of opportunity, some sort of material, could be financial, business, career opportunity. It could also possibly be the next step in a relationship, say marriage or buying a house, moving in, that sort of thing. So what's in store for you is a new beginning. But again, this isn't something that you can really figure out. When it does come to you, it's going to feel fresh, and you're not really going to know how to make the most of it. Going to feel a little bit like the fool over here, and that's okay. To be the fool is a really good place to be, because we never really know what's going on, right? So it's okay to take the risks, to accept that you don't know what's going on, and be open to all the opportunities, possibilities that are out there for you. So as you move forward, really tap into the archetype of the fool. How can you embody the fool that just surrenders and knows that he doesn't really know what the heck is going on, and that's okay. That's how you really that's how you can allow yourself to experience life at its fullest. All right. I pulled 2 cards from the Work Your Light deck. You got Dance with Life. I really like this card. It's so beautiful, and I take this card quite literally. Dance. Move your body. Use movement. The reason I say that is at the bottom it says, do something to change your energy. What can you do to shake up your system, to invite your body, your mind, your spirit to feel different, to feel more expansive, more alive? For me, it's dance. I love to dance. What is that for you? Is it to sing? It must be some sort of creative endeavor. So look for that. What is that for you? Or it could be sports as well, something physical. The other card you got, Soul Family. And it says, calling your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Who can you reach out to have a change in perspective, to gain some insight? Who can you converse with to feel better about your situation, feel more inspired? And, you can also meditate and tap into the higher dimensions and communicate with your higher self, with your guardian angels, your spirit guides. All that is possible. But consider a shift in perspective, a different way of seeing. And that is all I have for you, Group 1. I hope the reading was helpful. Let me know in the comments below. This reading is for Group 2, the Amethyst group. And I wanted to say, just looking at the crystal and tapping into the collective energy, what I sensed right off the bat is this air of sovereignty, and heavy spirituality, which is very beautiful to see. It's a feeling of, I got this, and I trust, I have faith. So yeah, overall, really good energy. Let's now dig into the cards to see your messages, to see what you need to hear. So the first cards I want to bring to your attention are these major arcana cards. First, you have the Empress. This is the sort of sovereignty talking about. It's a very feminine, quiet, still, grounded sort of energy of just really knowing yourself and being in gestation as well, of being in that creative process and sitting in the darkness and feeling really good about it. And then you have the Lovers. And immediately what comes to mind is decision, a decision that needs to be made. But also see the angel above. This is a decision that is going to be guided from the higher realms. They are guiding you, and you're tapped in. You're allowing them to guide you into making the right choice. And with that, you have justice. The energy of justice is energy of balance, of reaching this center point where you are completely balanced between polarities, and also of having redeemed yourself. That's the word that's coming to mind, having redeemed yourself. So, a lot of people associate this card with karma. With if you had done something in the past, then, well, what you sow is what you reap. So this is the point of balance that you've gone to by having worked through your karma, certain karmic cycles, and now you're at this point of having made peace with the past, having made peace with the universe. And there's no sense of a problem here. It's very calm. It feels calm, it feels peaceful. There's definitely a sense of connection. Again, my eyes go straight to the angel over here. That's a beautiful place to be. On top of getting the Empress, you also got the Queen of Pentacles, which is, in my opinion, the minor arcana version of the Empress, because she very much embodies the same qualities. That feeling of pure feminine energy, of being able to nourish yourself, nourish your surroundings, the people you love, your family, your home, and being a provider too, being able to provide in the ways that you can, in the feminine aspects, feminine ways. You see she has the pentacle that she's holding dear to her heart. She is abundant. She has everything she needs. She sits in her throne and nothing really bothers her. She's very grounded in her abundance, and there's a lot of trust and faith in what she has. And this is the same as the Empress, is that unshaken, feminine, grounded beauty, feminine energy. It's really beautiful, and it's so peaceful. And on top of that, you have the Seven of Pentacles, and this is the energy of waiting, of patience, and also evaluating what you have done so far, looking at the crops you have grown, and then considering, was this all worth it? And it takes a certain level of sovereignty, in my opinion, to get to this point, to even question if this was worth it. Is this really what I want? And so you are here evaluating or reevaluating and taking in what you have done so far. And this is quite a nice place to be as we're in the winter months, in hibernation, because things are quite slow, and it's nice to evaluate before you rush into spring and, begin that process of creation all over again. So this is really nice. As you can see, the cards have been quite cohesive so far. Now we're coming into some advice for you. So you have the Two of Pentacles, and what this card is telling you to do is to invite you to tap into the trickster, tap into being a bit of a joker, like this man over here. And what I mean by that is he's juggling two pentacles, and each of these pentacles represents something that he values, and he's able to be playful about these two aspects of his life. He can juggle them, enjoy both of them at the same time, and have fun with it. So a lot of us, especially if you are, heavy into spirituality, as these cards have shown, we all get to a point when we become too serious. And if you really think about it, that wasn't the reason you got into spirituality, was it? You got into your spiritual practices for freedom. Freedom does not feel like seriousness. Freedom feels like play. It should. So this card is inviting you to be playful. If that means taking certain risks, juggling, well, that's okay. That is what makes life meaningful. Put yourself out there. It's okay to get a little uncomfortable. Sometimes this energy can be a little uncomfortable. But how else is your life going to go anywhere, be meaningful? The other card that you have is the Four of Pentacles, and this is sort of similar. The message in this is a little similar. As you can see, I think this is a woman. She's sitting at this tree, and there are 3 cups in front of her, and she's sort of in this state of boredom, kind of bored, not really satisfied with her 3 cups, but she doesn't really know what else to do, so she's just in complete boredom, without noticing that a cup is literally being offered to her. An opportunity is right there, right under her nose, and it's being offered to her. And this cup, if she takes it, can make her life so interesting, so fulfilling and satisfying, but she doesn't see it. So along with the Two of Pentacles, what this is telling me is that perhaps you're in this place where you're getting a little too comfortable. And if that's the case, and even if it isn't, it's always a good reminder to know that you're allowed to seek new opportunities. Look around and consider what you haven't done next. What is going to excite you in the next phase of your life? And know that it's okay to juggle a little bit, to invite a little bit of risk into your life. That's okay. Because you can be playful with it. You have all of this sovereignty within you, all of this wisdom and power and feminine grounded energy that you're capable of adding a bit of play, of having a little bit of fun. So seek new opportunities and see where that takes you. Now we have the Work Your Light deck. I chose 2 cards for you from this deck. So first you have Akasha. Your guidance is divinely guided. And for this card, this is actually a transmission card from the deck. So I pulled out the light transmission and I'm just going to read it out to you. And you can place your hand over your heart as I read it out to you and repeat to yourself. I open myself up to receive the wisdom of the Akasha. I am ready to download any information from my soul's records that is in my highest good and the highest good of all right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just going to read this 2 more times. Allow yourself to take deep breaths and really let it sink in. Repeat to yourself. I open myself up to receive the wisdom of the Akasha. I'm ready to download any information from my soul's records that is in my highest good and the highest good of all right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I open myself up to receive the wisdom of the Akasha. I'm ready to download any information from my soul's records that is in my highest good and the highest good of all right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other card that you got is birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. This one also comes with a light activation. So let me just pull that up right now. I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me. Please guide me. Please show me the way. I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me. Please guide me. Please show me the way. I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me. Please lead me. Please show me the way. What this card is talking about is exactly what we mentioned earlier, of recognizing that the next step in expansion is going into the unknown, into what may appear a little bit frightening at first initially, but that is where you can birth a new age into being and really show up as the way you are meant to show up in this life. You have all the wisdom, the spiritual wisdom and guidance in the world to do this, and you are ready. Use these activations and transmission to access the innate wisdom that's within you as you take the next step and receive what is being offered to you. That is all I have for you, Group 2. I hope the reading was helpful. Comment below and let me know how it was. This is the reading for Group 3, the group that chose Labradorite. As I tapped into the energy of the crystal and the collective energy, what I noticed immediately was this, it's a young energy, a masculine oomph kind of energy. It's very eccentric, electric, there's a bit of a spark, maybe even some resistance as well. So let's go into the cards and see what the cards have to say about what I picked up. Alright, so the first card that came out was the Magician, and that makes a lot of sense. This is that sort of feeling that I was talking about earlier, of being electric. He uses magic. He's very electric and eccentric. He, as you can see, he has a finger pointed upwards, another finger pointed down, as above, so below. And he also has all of the elements in front of him. The pentacle, the sword, the wand, and the cup. As above, so below, as within, so without. In fact, I actually have that tattooed over here. And what that means is essentially you have all the power within you. You have all the power in the world to tap into, to manifest what you want. You have this magic, this ability, and you are tapped in, turned on, and I believe from what I'm sensing, you are already doing this for yourself. You are working to consciously manifest and move towards what it is that you want, and you know how to do it from an energetic perspective. You know how to do it. That's really nice to see. That's powerful energy. Along with that, though, you have a reverse star. So this is the resistance that I was picking up upon. Resistance of, even though you have all this power, there's a part of you that almost does not believe in it, that resists fully allowing yourself to surrender into it, or surrender into the process. Because the star is a card of healing, a card of hope and faith. It's somewhat a lot more feminine than the Magician. And right now there's a bit of imbalance where you are acknowledging that, yes, I am the creator of my reality, but you're not accepting that you're a co-creator. That there is a certain element of surrender that's needed in order for you to get what you want, because you are a co-creator, and you have to allow for the other variables to work alongside you. And perhaps a part of you doesn't believe that's possible. Part of you hasn't healed enough to have the faith and hope that's necessary. But what's nice to see is that calm shores are ahead. You are working to heal this. There is a sense of healing happening. You are retreating, moving on to calmer shores and allowing this process to unfold for you. That's really nice to see. So even though there is this resistance, you are turning it around. You're allowing this time to be a time of healing, rejuvenation. You're trying to restore your hope and faith, and that's going to be really beneficial because balance is really needed. We need balance between these two aspects. And the Five of Wands tells me what you are healing is a sense of, in broad terms, this is resistance. This is what resistance feels like. This sort of resistance feels like fighting, as you can see. It's a feeling of pushing, shoving, there's an ickiness to it. You can't really let down your guard. It's a feeling of stress. It is essentially trauma energy, the energy that you accumulate in your body to help you in case of any perceived threat, that sort of energy. There's a lot of stress, and this is what you're trying to heal from. This comes from the past, of course. This comes from unresolved events of where you felt threatened enough to call upon this energy, but you never fully resolved it. And so it was just sort of there, stagnant in your body, asking to come out. But of course, given that we are modern human beings, we don't allow ourselves to express this sort of energy because it's not that acceptable. It is almost regarded as ugly. And so it comes out in weird ways. We project this energy onto others when it's not controllable, right? And this is what you're being asked to process and release once and for all. This, if you can release this sort of energy, the energy of fighting, of feeling icky and seeing competition everywhere, threat everywhere, if you can release this sort of resistance, then the faith can be restored, a sense of trust can happen, hope and healing can happen, and at which point you can follow the stars, essentially, to get to be divinely guided into getting what you want. The last card that you have is the Hierophant, and he represents order, structure. So this may be referring to school, for example, maybe referring to work, to something where you must respect the way things have been done, an institution. And if that's the case, I invite you to respect the way things have been done. And this may also be referring to your self-care routine, your self-regulation methods, and self-practice, self-improvement practices. And if that's what it is, then stick to the way it has worked for you thus far. and continue to do what works, what makes sense for you as you work through the resistance that is coming up. Stick to what works, keep a routine, keep an order. Yeah, that's all I have for this card. And now 2 more cards to tie it all together. You got the Wheel of Fortune. And this is a beautiful card to get alongside the Star. What this really tells us, because you got it with the Star, is that in this process of manifesting, a major part of that is outside of your control. You are asked to surrender, to find your center, to come all the way to the middle, and surrender as the process unfolds for you to get what you want. Although you are encouraged to continue to visualize and focus on what it is that you want, there isn't much you need to do in terms of action at this point, because things are going to turn around, and at which point things are going to be presented to you and action will just come very naturally, if that makes sense. It'll be inspired rather than pre-calculated and forced. And so wait, surrender until that opportunity is presented to you. Such a nice card to get at the end of all this. You know, this is that electric, eccentric personality that I felt earlier. The King of Wands is a man of a lot of power, stamina, and he's just a force to be reckoned with. He is charismatic. He knows what he wants. He's a leader. People look up to him. They see him and they're just in awe. And this is the sort of energy you're tapping into, this sort of archetype. He is capable of leading people. That's one thing, and being part of a creative, he's capable of creating, of putting his ideas into action and making them into something worthwhile. He's all about taking action. So you can see how these two kind of contradict each other. Once you've surrendered enough and life has pushed you, life has allowed you to flow to a certain point, that is when you're going to be able to fully step in and take action as you have been intending to. So this is going to happen, but find balance first. Now I have 2 cards from the Work Your Light deck. The first one you got is Break the Chain. And it says over here, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. This is referring to the resistance we talked about earlier, the energy of fighting, essentially trauma energy. It is asking you to work through that, to break the chains. And this carries a very powerful force along with it. It's, again, the same sort of energy I picked up earlier, is that power. That sort of power can motivate you to really overcome whatever it is that's holding you back, and invite you to really take advantage of that power you're feeling right now. This is going to do a lot of good, a lot of forward moving momentum. in the guidebook, there are some action prompts that came along with the card. It says over here, there's some questions for you. What old ways of being from your family line are you ready to let go? Seek assistance from your support team, tribe, friends, healer, coach, etc. to begin freeing yourself from it now. And you know what? It said healer and coach here, so I'm just going to put a little shameless plug. I actually offer one-on-one sessions, if you don't already know. I work with clients one-on-one to help them release this sort of trauma energy we talked about, unresolved energy that is right now stagnant in the body, which if we let go, we would sit with so much more self-compassion, hope, faith, and inner peace. And if this calls out to you, if it resonates, and this is something we really like to overcome, then feel free to go into the description and book a call with me. But yeah, that's my shameless plug. And now, let's go into the second card. It says, Pillar of Light. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Such a beautiful card. Also a card of strength and power. And this card comes with a light activation. So I'm just going to read it out to you. Feel free to place your hand over your heart and take some deep breaths as you repeat after me. I allow the light of the heavens and the light of the earth to flow through me now. I activate the codes of remembering within my cells and chakras. I activate my system as a rainbow bridge between heaven and earth. I'll just read it 2 more times. I allow the light of the heavens and the light of the earth to flow through me now. I activate the codes of remembering within my cells and chakras. I activate my system as a rainbow bridge between heaven and earth. I allow the light of the heavens and the light of the earth to flow through me now. I activate the codes of remembering my cells and chakras. I activate my system as a rainbow bridge between heaven and earth. That's beautiful. And that's all I have for you, Group 3. I hope the reading was helpful and that I was able to give you some insight. Let me know in the comments down below. And there we have it. We just completed all 3 readings and it was so much fun. Such a pleasure. Thank you once again. And I'll talk to you guys soon.